What's up, everyone? This is Sagar, and as the title suggests, the topic of today's video is going to be the housing market situation currently across the U.S. And my key focus is going to be, California, New York, Chicago, and all the major cities, because that should give you an idea of what's going on, where the housing market is headed. What exactly is the reason behind the market slowdown, and are we looking at a crash or not? I've worked in the tech industry for almost over a decade, and worked with a lot of foreign consultants, people who come from various countries like India, China, and who have been working in the U.S. for the last decade or more. And interestingly, if you follow immigration, or if you know the 101 of immigration, how it works, people from densely populated countries like India and China stay in the queue for decades. People have been waiting for their green card and for the immigration to happen for over 10 years. So do they not buy a house? Of course they do. One of the big factors that makes them feel comfortable investing in a property is obviously they're earning big bucks, and although they're temporary workers, they make good money. They work with the big companies across the U.S., especially in the Silicon Valley. If you see, they work with top giants, and some of them have decent, three-figure salaries. Most of them, all of them, in fact, most of them, and that's one of the reasons for some of these visas is that you need to have a certain amount of money in order to qualify, and they make that money. These are smart people. They come from different countries. They utilize visas like H1, L1, and then there's a list of other visas that are that different countries are eligible for to come to the U.S. to work. And these are long-term visas. The H1B is a long-term visa. People stay for over a decade just waiting for the immigration to happen on this visa. And as I said, these are smart people. And what do smart people do? They put their money where they get maximum return. So are they going to put their money in the bank? No. They're going to invest money. They're going to invest money in a safe investment that gives them a return. The big thing about people is they don't want to spend or waste money in rent. The first thing they learn is how to avoid paying heavy rent. The obvious choice is you have a stable job, you're making decent amount of money, go buy a place. You buy a place, you save rent, it's a good investment, and that's why you've seen over the last 10 years all these workers who have come to the U.S., who have contributed to the economy, who have taken all these big figures home, have invested their money in homes, and half the homes are really, people from outside. Uh, America has always been a diverse country that allows people from everywhere to come in, make a future, make a living, make a life, and a lot of, especially in the last 10 years, a lot of immigration has happened already. People have set families, people have purchased homes, etc., etc. If you follow the immigration today, I don't want to get into the specifics. It's pretty obvious, and it's known information out there. You can Google, you can research. The first thing that someone who is in that situation is afraid of is their investment. It's the hard-earned money. They park the money in these homes, and the investment has been there in the real estate market. And the first thing, when you have an unstable future, or if your visa is not extended, or if your visa is cancelled, or if you are not further eligible, if the company doesn't want to continue with you just because of the tough regulations, you want to exit the market. You want to sell your home, get your money, and be ready for anything, for an uncertain future. You might have to go back to your country. You might not be allowed in the country. So how can you have the most valuable asset sitting there invested in real property when your future may or may not be in the country? So that's where, let's take an example. I mean, I'm talking about California, the major cities, but I'm talking about overall the whole US in general. But as an example, I want to bring up California. Now, California is big. Let's pick up, a very obvious example of San Jose. San Jose went from a low-cost housing to what it is today. Today, every home, the median home, almost every home is listed at $1 million. How did it get to that level? Who got the home prices to $1 million? It's really these tech workers, these temporary workers, who are in hopes of immigrating to the U.S., who are waiting in these lines for 10 years or more to immigrate, they've all purchased homes, they've all set up families, and now when they should have been at the end of the queue for their green cards, suddenly you have all these delays. You have adjudication stricter or different adjudications. The tough adjudications that are happening with their visas, and they're uncertain. So they're worried about losing their future in the U.S. And the first thing they want to do is sell off their home. Even if someone has a green card, they still have a spouse who may not have immigrated. They may have family members. They may have parents who might not be immigrated yet. And who knows if say the wife if she's able to immigrate or not. So you have to be cautious. They have to be cautious, and what they do as part of that strategy is to liquefy and be ready. So that's fundamentally what has contributed at large, in the in the San Jose market. If you go to if you do a simple test, if you go to Zillow, June is considered to be a worst month for the buyers, and there's a lot of inventory, there's a lot of buyer activity, less homes on the market. Supposed to have less homes in the market, but what's happening? Well, what's happening is you have tons of homes on the market every day. By the hour, you have listings come up all the time, and there aren't any buyers. No one is buying them. Or if you see the prices, they're all stacked at a million. But then who is buying them? These properties are staying on the market for months. With reductions in excess of 20,000, 50,000, some 100,000, some 200,000, and some of them have to drop dead leave. And what do? They sell their homes at a loss. And that's what really is what's happening right now. And I'm giving you an example of the Silicon Valley because that activity is starting from there and having its effect propagating rest of the places. And this is just an example of California. The same thing is happening in New York, Chicago, Texas, and so many other places where you're seeing this sharp decline in housing prices, especially felt heavily in the San Jose market. So these foreign workers are in tens and thousands, who are in the property market more than anyone else. And when all of these people fear for their future, when they can't come into the country, also apart from the existing ones trying to sell and move, be ready. Remember, there's a lot of people that always came to the U.S. for new opportunities and new jobs. When the existing homeowners sell their homes, who buys them? There are these new people who are entering into the market, especially if someone who has an entry-level home. And now they have sufficient income to support their dream home. And when they sell their entry-level home, who buys them? And there are these people, who come from outside, who are earning good money, who have just started their job a couple of years ago. They want to buy a starter home. So these people can't come in anymore. So there is no buying there. So that's where, there's the first point where it slows down. On top of that, the immigration situation toughening by the day. You have people worried about the future, the family being all together. They are selling their homes. And that is really causing, that's the true reason why you're seeing a sharp increase in activity, the seller activity, a lot of homes on the market to sell. And a lot of agents, tell you that, hey, it was the mortgage fraud that caused the crash in 2008, 9, 10, 11. It's not, that reason isn't applicable anymore, and therefore we are not going to have a crash. I mean, I do get it. Yes, that's not going to be the reason. That isn't the reason. If that was the reason, then despite having low interest rates and despite a lot of people not even qualifying for a loan, why would you have this slowdown? This slowdown is happening for a different reason, and it's very important to be intelligent enough or smart enough to understand and find out what exactly is the reason then that you're seeing this situation. And this is growing. And unless there's a sudden shift in policy, in politics, in decision making, you're going to continue to see this crash happening sometime soon. Maybe not soon. Soon is an understatement. People, still want to list their homes at that high price. But when there's desperate panic sets in and someone, wants to sell their home at a ridiculously low price because they can't come to the country anymore, that's going to drive the comps lower, and that's going to trigger a panic and the market, volatility. In fact, even a potential crash later down the road. So Is a crash going to happen? Probably yes, unless the political situation changes or something drastically changes. It may not happen. Is it a good time to buy a home right now? Sure. I mean, if you need a place for a very certain reason, if you're going to be in your home for the next 20, 30 years, yes, situation will improve eventually. Eventually, there'll be a return. Market will go up. But if you're looking for like a flipping a home, it's a very bad idea. It's a dying market right now. You buy a property, for a decent amount, you flip it. By that time, there's already a couple of $100,000 that have gone down on the estimates, and whatever you flipped, all your money is gone. If you're looking for a short-term home, I think renting it would be a better option. Uh, so yes, I mean, I wouldn't personally invest in property right now if I had to, just simply because every day you're seeing more and more homes in the inventory piling up and less buyer activity, meaning prices are coming down. People are getting desperate, and I wouldn't want to jump into a market which is just losing money by the day. So I want to be more cautious. So it's just me. That doesn't mean that if you need to buy a home for whatever reason, you shouldn't. You could. It's something that you should look at as a long-term investment, not as a short-term investment. Uh, so yeah, that's my basic assessment. It's very simple to understand. It's not complicated. It's just that no one has really given thought to it. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. What I would like to do is I like to follow up periodically on assessing how the situation is progressing, and I will have an update video, a set of videos to work with you along to analyze the situation as it changes with time. Till then, this is Sagar, and goodbye from here.